Good morning. John Nauer and I have been working on a project for some time now where we study history by looking at visual materials. Our first case study was a well-known event in Japanese history. This was the arrival of the United States Naval Commodore Matthew Perry in Japan in 1853. Japan had been closed to the world for 250 years, and the mission of Commodore Perry was to open up Japan to the rest of the world. And so we collected lots of images that came out of that event, and from museums both here in the US and Japan. And right away, we found things that were surprising. So on the right is a photograph of Perry. This is a photograph by a well-known Civil War photographer, Matthew Brady. You can see that it's an image that exudes power and authority. On the left, we found this woodblock print of Matthew Perry at Nagasaki Museum, and we're initially sort of puzzled by almost the comical image that we found, but as we got to know the image, we realized that this image too reveals power and authority, but it does so by a mistake that the artist made. If you look very closely, Perry has blue eyes, but the blue is in the wrong place. Okay? And so clearly the artist didn't see Perry. He heard that Westerners tend to have blue eyes, and so he drew this. So what happened was that Perry, when he got there, didn't make himself available very much. He stayed on the ship much of the time, and this was a strategic move that he made to make himself inaccessible in order to project power and authority, and this is what happened, right? But this is a very respectful image of Perry. But as the purpose of his mission became clearer and clearer, his image also changed as well. This is a black ship that Perry went to Japan on, and we found this image at the Chicago Historical Society. It is a majestic and powerful image. This time, the power comes from the visualization of manifest destiny. Ship going from light, enlightenment, towards darkness. And here, there's a quote saying, Commodore Perry carrying the gospel of God to the heathen. Okay? So that's just a straightforward manifest destiny. We found that image of the same black ship with block print at a museum in Japan. You can see that it's not gospel of God, but it's more demonic, and you can sort of understand when people understood what the purpose of Perry's image was. One thing we got intrigued by are the directions that these ships are traveling. So the American ship, the black ship, is going from left to right. Japanese black ship is going from right to left. And we noticed a lot of this contrasting directionality. And we realized that it probably has to do with the writing system. Okay? The English writing system goes from left to right, and the traditional Japanese writing system from right to left. And so, in fact, if you take the American image, the manifest destiny image, and flip it around like a Japanese ship, it just doesn't work. You know, it looks like the ship is sinking, in fact. Okay? Starting with that Perry unit, we now have over 50 units on visualizing cultures. We have agreements with over 200 museums and private collections from around the world, and they provide images for our project. These images are often inaccessible otherwise, except for the website that we have. The images are made available under Creative Commons so that you as a learner can use thousands of images that we have freely for educational purpose. In 2014, we decided to do a MOOC based on that unit on Perry, plus two subsequent units that we did. So this is John Nauer, my collaborator, and we got Jennifer Weisenfeld of Duke and Andy Gordon of Harvard to join us. Okay? So 3 major institutions, 3 eminent scholars teaching a course, and this was possible because of the MOOC platform. Not only that, but we asked the University of Tokyo to join by doing a sequel to our MOOC. And Professor Yoshimi Shunya, who is an eminent sociologist, did not only 1 MOOC, but 2 MOOCs on post-war Tokyo. But the thing that really surprised me about this MOOC, and this sort of the main topic of this 7-minute talk, is the impact that our MOOC has had on residential MIT education. I have been teaching Visualize in Japan as an MIT course for many years, initially with John Dower, but after he retired, I have been teaching it on my own. And in 2014, I installed the MOOC content as the primary educational material for my class. And it just completely changed the way I teach, from a traditional lecture format to a flipped class. A clear sort of marker of the transformation is that even after I flipped class, there were a few sessions where I lectured like a traditional class. And in that traditional lecture format, I spoke 80% of the time. Students spoke 20% of the time. How do I know that? There was a student in class who was timing me. Okay? She was doing research on use of MOOCs in classroom, and so she was actually timing me. And she also timed the fact that when I flipped class, it was 50-50. Okay? And I don't take attendance, but since flipping class, my attendance has been virtually 100%. Okay? Finally, seeing the power of the flipped class, I have been working recently with Boris Katz in CSAIL and using his AI system to try to replicate some of the features of flipped class for the online community of learners of the MOOC. We are now setting up a prototype where the learners online can ask questions over the content of the MOOC, and they can, in fact, ask general questions about Japan. And if it works, the system will spit back the right answer in natural language. Okay. Thank you.